Give it 2 minutes.
Yeah, let everyone think that.
Jai Jitendra, Pranam. On behalf of trustees, chairman Jinit Baisha, office bearers and managing committee of Sri Visashwa Community, Nairobi, we welcome you all today for Shradhanjali of late Dhiraj Devan Dodhia, our past chairman of Sri Visashwa Community, Nairobi. Our profound condolences, Ben, Harsh, Mega, Ayushi and Ayush. We shall now start with prayers. Keval, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. मागे वीक गुणनी एक गुण क्यारे आकशो शरणादि पत्नी ज्योत जागे जयंत क्यारे बनारशो सोना सोना निज जीवन पठमा आप क्यारे पधारशो सोना सोना मुझे जीवन पठमा आप क्यारे पधारशो आप क्यारे पधारशो आप क्यारे पधारशो प्रभु जी महाराज प्रेम दीनमो मुर्मिता हरि जय ठरो प्रभु जी महाराज प्रेम दीनमो मुर्मिता हरि जय ठरो हरे प्रभु पाप में करया शोध से हरे धर्म नहीं करया प्रभु पाप में करया शोध से हरे धर्म नहीं करया माते प्रभु तार जो हरे प्रभु जी ने स्तवो माते प्रभु दीनानाथ जी दुख काप जो भविक जीवन शोक आप जो दीनानाथ जी दुख काप जो भविक जीवन शोक आप जो काशनाथ जी स्वामी महाराज गुरु नाम छो नित्य ताहरा पार्श्वनाथ जी स्वामी महाराज गुरु गुण गावो नित्य कामना गुण गावो नित्य कामना ओम हरिहंताणं ओम नमो सिद्धाणम् ओम नमो आयर्याणम् ओम नमो उभजायाणम् नमो लोये सबसाहोणम् सोपक्षण भूतारो सब पाव पणसनो मंगलायं च सर्वेसी परमं हवै मंगलम् ओम नमो हरिहंताय ओम नमो सिद्धाय ओम नमो आयर्याय ओम नमो उभयाय नमो लोये सबसाय Om Namo Harihantaye Om Namo Siddhaya Om Namo Ayaryanam Om Namo Uvajayanam Namo Yogi Sabasahuri Kesho Panchana Mukaro Sarva Bhava Parasara Nigaranam Chasabesi Kadhamadhavai Mangalam Kadhamadhavai Mangalam. Over to you, Samir.
Introduce Jeanette.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I would now like to invite the chairman of Shri Visashwa Committee Nairobi, Shri Jeanette Bhai, to address the Shradhanjali in honor of late Dhiraj, Devan, Dodhia.
Thank you, Prakash and Samira. Family and friends of Mr. Dhiraj Devan Dodhia, trustees, office bearers of the Visashal community, the Ashwal Education and Relief Board, and the Ashwal Youth League, management committee members, subcommittee members, ladies and gentlemen, Pranam and Jai Jinendra to all. On behalf of the trustees, office bearers, management committee, and the community at large, I would like to convey our deepest condolences to the family of Mr. Dhiraj Devan Dodhia. Dhirubhai, as we all fondly called him, was a passionate believer in community service, and his service to the community started from Ashwal Youth League at a tender age of only 19 years. Subsequently, he started rendering his volunteer service to the Visashal community from the mid-1980s. Fast forward to 1992, and Dhirubhai, together with others, initiated the Operation Reduce Crime, or ORC as we now know it. This was started with a view of restoring people's confidence in the security mechanism as the country moved toward its first multi-party elections. Often, when I had conversations with Dhirubhai, he would mention the American embassy bombings in 1998 and how the ORC team were amongst one of the first respondents to reach the site to lend a helping hand. During the Westgate terror attack, Dhirubhai was placed in charge of coordinating and managing the Offshore Center medical site, ensuring that food was continuously served to the volunteers and security personnel, and maintaining security and safety of the premises. He was part of the Offshore Sports Complex Committee from 1997 to 2000, where, under his guidance, the team managed the construction of the hall being currently used as a gym and the seating area outside the pool. Dhirubhai also joined the Offshore Education and Relief Board in 2000 and held various positions through his time there, including chair of the very first ever remission committee. He was part of the managing committee. He held the position of the honorable secretary and the vice chair, a position at which he was the key man in charge of the merger of the offshore schools under the Offshore Academy banner. Dhirubhai then moved on to being chairman of the board from 2007 to 2008, and thereafter an advisory council member until 2021. He had an amazing run of achievements at the board, which you will all hear about later this afternoon. In 2012, Dhirubhai became a trustee of the Offshore Youth League, and soon to follow was the chairmanship of the Visa Offshore Community from the years 2016 to 2021. The 5 years of Dhirubhai's chairmanship saw the community advance significantly, and his achievements included promulgation of a new constitution of the community. This constitution had taken 10 years, and Dhirubhai managed to get this passed through. He was also responsible for the streamlining of the rules, regulations, and accounting and administration systems. He was responsible for the AstroTurf playing fields, completion of unfinished works at the Munisurat Jinalai, Seniors Lounge refurbishment, moving of the Pratimas to the Munisurat Jinalai, completion and opening of the offshore residency, amongst many other projects that he undertook. Most importantly, Dhirubhai managed to develop a social connect between the youth and the community, and his encouragement has seen more youth involving themselves in community affairs than ever before. Mr. Dodhia was an enigma with an amazing presence. I first got to know him when he became the trustee of Offshore Youth League. He was passionate about all that he undertook and did not believe in doing things in parts. He had a very strict demeanor about him, yet as a youth league trustee, he could bond and mix with the youth like he was one of them. I recall Dhirubhai calling me to his house for a meeting in 2016 when I was the Offshore Youth League chair, and he informed me that he was going to stand as chair of this offshore community in the elections that were in 3 days' time. One of his greatest beliefs was the need for the youth and women to become an integral part of the running of the community. It was my humble honor to be part of his team, and he assembled that day. For the very first time in the history of the offshore community, thanks to the Dhirubhai's efforts, we had an office bearer team comprised of the youngest treasurer ever, the first female honorable secretary, and assistant secretary. Dhirubhai was passionate about the offshore community, and the interests of the community were always first and foremost on his mind. He had a rare skill for picking out details where something was not being done correctly, and the ability to put it right. His motto through his years of service was that the community should never incur a loss or be disadvantaged, and towards achieving this, he would do whatever was necessary without any fear or favor. He was always available to advise and guide, whilst his health made it difficult for him to focus on routine matters. Dhirubhai, you are a mentor and a friend to me, and today I feel that the journey we embarked on together in the community has been left without a guiding radar. You shall be immensely missed by all of us who worked with you, and words cannot express the sorrow all of us feel on your departure. Dhirubhai's commitment and dedication to the community was a unique quality that we as Oswalds are fortunate to have had. His sudden departure has left a big void within the community that may never get filled. I speak for the community when I say that Dhirubhai's journeys and achievements will be remembered for generations as part of our Oswald history, and Dhirubhai will always remain an inspiration to the youth and volunteers for years to come. Once again, on behalf of the trustees, office bearers, management committee, and the community at large, I would like to convey our condolences to Dhirubhai's family. We pray for his soul to rest in peace. Dhirubhai, you went too soon, but wherever you are, we hope you will look down on the Oswald community and shower us with your blessings. Om Shanti. Thank you, Vikash, and Samir Bhai, back over to you.
Thank you, Jinit Bhai, for your very kind and comforting address. I will give back to Keval Bhai for another Stavan.
જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો મને કાંજી કરી કાહે રગાડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જલકી છીના છો કેટલું ને કેવું જલકી છીના છો કેટલું ને કેવું કેટલી કમાણી કરી કેટલું છે દેવું કેટલી કમાણી કરી કેટલું છે દેવું કાઢી સરવૈયો તમે સંતરે બતાવજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો કેટલા સતકર્મ કર્યા કેટલી લવાડી કેટલા સતકર્મ કર્યા કેટલી લવાડી કયા પાટે ચાલી રહી જિંદગીની ગાડી પ્રભુ પદ પામવા માટે પાટા બદલાવજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો મનને મહતાજી કરી કામે લગાડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો જમાને ઉધાર કરી કાઢજો તફાવત જમાને ઉધાર કાઢજો તફાવત કેટલી પ્રભુના નામે કરી છે બનાવત કેટલી પ્રભુના નામે કરી છે બનાવત एक एक पानो तमे एक पानो तमे चिंतती चकासજો આ જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો આ જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો મનને મહેતાજી કરી કામે લગાડજો આ જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો આ જિંદગીના ચોપડાનો સરવાળો માંડજો. Thank you. Over to you, Samir.
Thank you, Kevalbhai and Jayashri Ben. I now invite our Honorable Trustee, Shri Visawasha Community, Nairobi, Shri Dinesh Bhai Danani, to address the Shradhanjali on behalf of the trustees of Shri Visawasha Community, Nairobi. Thank you, Dinesh Bhai.
Thank you, Samir and Vikash. Pranam and Jai Jinendra. Today we have gathered to give Shradhanjali to the beautiful soul of Dhiraj. It was indeed a very sad moment for us all when we heard the news of passing away of our beloved Dhiraj last Sunday. Over more than 2 decades, Dhiraj and me have been friends and colleagues, both at the board and at the Visawasha community. I have found him a very pragmatic, bold, fearless, progressive, and down to earth. He was also religious and fair to all, a very witty and a joyful personality. To a few, he was a firebrand person, since he would not tolerate any nonsense from anyone. Let me give you an example where you would appreciate how fair-minded he was. In 1999, at the board, we established the remission committee, both for the board and the Visawasha schools, since it seemed to be a lot of misuse of our remission system. Dhiraj was the chairman of this committee. He made strict rules and even asked the applicants to come for interviews with their logbooks, rent slips, passports, etc. Obviously, he was not liked by a few. However, he was very fair to those deserving applicants, and to make sure nothing was done wrong, one evening, he invited me as secretary of the board to review each and every file. We sat through until 2:30 a.m. reviewing. We found each and every file meticulously compiled with all the documents. And let me tell you, we did not need to reverse any decision. The board at the time saved an estimated 1 crore, and the credit goes to Dhiraj and his team. Dhiraj was very pragmatic and well known when implementing decisions once taken. A lot of us are familiar with the mammoth task that Dhiraj with his team took in merger of the board schools and the Visawasha schools in a very short, limited time, which he did in record time. But there was also another implementing work that most of people are not aware of. In 2002, the board took the decision to house the girls' hostel into the building of the boarding. There were many changes to be made to convert into a mixed boarding, and that also in the minimum time available. It was Dhiraj who led the job and finished it in time. He was always in front when the work of implementing decisions come up, whether it was decentralized purchasing, creating AstroTurf grounds, kitchen upgrading, and etc., etc. Dhiraj contribution to the community has been immense. He was someone who could not see any of the community's funds being misused or mismanaged. He has been instrumental in setting up many rules, regulations, and systems for the better management of the community funds. Jinit has covered most of his work, and I'm sure if we list it, it would be a very long list where his contribution has been. He was also very religious, and this is seen clearly by noting the improvements that has been made to the Munishurat Swami Jinalay during his chairmanship. He was a true believer in Oswalism. And if I may quote from his address to the, if I may quote from his address to the board's 75th anniversary, quote, he says, Oswalism is the power to agree to disagree and to move forward together as Oswals. It is the power to grow from strength to strength. It is the power of Anekantwad. It is the power of Jainism, unquote. He was also a visionary, and one should appreciate his speech again in the board's adivation when he spelled out what the future changes are expected in the formal education, where some degrees would become obsolete and newer ones, courses would come up based on artificial intelligence. It was always a pleasure and a joy to have been in his company, since all his conversation would be filled with witty remarks. I wish to convey my condolences to the family and wish they have the strength to bear this loss. In Dhirubhai, the community has lost a true dedicated Oswal. Prabhu temna atma ne shanti ape ane sadgadi pame. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh Bhai. Those very kind and comforting words and address. Over to you, Keval, for the next 7.
Thank you. जीवन जीवन सहलो नदी मारे मौत पहला मरबो नदी मरते मरते जीवन बड़े देवो जीवन मारे जीवन नदी जीवन जीवन सहलो नदी मारे मौत पहला मरबो नदी मरता मरता जीवो पड़े देवो जीवन मारे जीवो नदी मरता मरता जीवो पड़े देवो जीवन मारे जीवो नदी पाप करीने पुण्य करावेवा कर्म मारे करवान तेरे मोक्ष मिलेना भलेना जीवने अवगतिये मर जाऊं नदी पाप करीने पुण्य करावेवा कर्म मारे करवान तेरे શ્રીલીલા ભલે આજીવને અવગતિએ મારી જાવું નથી. માનવ કહે છે આ દુનિયાને વાત મારી પણ ખોટી નથી. સત્કર્મને હરિ ભજન વિના પ્રભુજી મળવા સહેલા નથી. જીવન જીવવું સહેલો નથી મારે મોત પહેલા મરવું નથી. મરતા મરતા જીવવું પડે દેવું જીવન મારે જીવવું નથી. જીવન જીવવું સહેલો નથી મારે મોત પહેલા મરવું નથી. મરતા મરતા જીવવું પડે જીવન મારે જીવવું નથી. પ્રાણ રહે જ્યાં સુધી શરીરમાં કોઈથી મારે ડરવું નથી. સારું થાય તો ઠીક છે કોઈનું ખોટું મારે કરવું નથી. પ્રાણ રહે જ્યાં સુધી શરીરમાં કોઈથી મારે ડરવું નથી. સારું થાય તો ઠીક છે કોઈનું ખોટું મારે કરવું નથી. જીવન બનવું કોકનું પણ લૂંટનારો બનવું નથી. માનવ થઈને જન્મ્યો જગમાં દાનવ થઈને મરવું નથી. જીવન બનવું લૂંટનારો બનવું નથી. માનવ થઈને જન્મ્યો જગમાં દાનવ થઈને મરવું નથી. જીવન જીવવું સહેલો નથી મારે મોત પહેલા મરવું નથી. મરતા મરતા જીવવું પડે તેવું જીવન મારે જીવવું નથી. મરતા મરતા જીવવું પડે તેવું જીવન મારે જીવવું નથી. જીવન મારે જીવવું નથી. જીવન મારે જીવવું નથી. Thank you. Over to you, Samuel.
Thank you, Kevalbhai and Jayashree Ben. I would like to now invite Shri Nitinbhai Malde, the chairman of Osho Education Relief Board, to address the Shradhanjali.
જય જીનેન્દ્ર, પ્રણામ બધાને. સૌ પ્રથમ શ્રી ધીરુભાઈના પવિત્ર આત્માને વંદન, ત્યાર પછી ભાવનીબેન તેમજ પરિવાર અને ધીરુભાઈના નિયર એન્ડ ડિયર વન્સને ઓસ્વાલ એજ્યુકેશન એન્ડ રિલીફ બોર્ડના ટ્રસ્ટીઝ, ઓફિસ બેરર્સ, મેનેજિંગ કમિટી અને સમગ્ર બોર્ડ તરફથી હાર્ટફેલ કંડોલન્સીસ. આજે ખરેખર એ માનવામાં નથી આવતું કે ધીરુભાઈની આગળ આપણે લેટ લખવું પડે છે કે એમને આપણે ટ્રિબ્યુટ આપવા માટે બધા ભેગા થયા છીએ. ધીરુભાઈ માટે મારે એમ કહી શકાય કે ધીરુભાઈ એક સારા અને સાચા સમાજ સેવક હતા. ધીરુભાઈ હાલારી વિસા ઓસવાળોના હીરો હતા, મહાજનના મોભી, અને ધીરુભાઈ એક કેટલો ઊંચો આત્મા હતો એ આપણે જો ક્વોન્ટિફાઈ કરવું હોય તો આઉટ ઓફ 61 years ઓફ એમનું જે જીવન હતું એમાંથી મોર દેન 2/3 એમણે સમાજ સેવામાં ઓસવાળ સમાજને એમણે આપ્યું છે. ધીસ ઇઝ ખરેખર એ આપણે એમને સેલ્યુટ કરવું પડે. બોર્ડની જો હું વાત કરું તો 2003 થી 2005 સુધી ધીરુભાઈ બોર્ડના સેક્રેટરી હતા. 2005 થી 7 સુધી વાઇસ ચેરમેન હતા. 2007 થી 2008 સુધી ચેરમેન હતા. 2008 થી 2010 સુધી એક્સ ઓફિસિયો હતા. 2010 થી 2021 સુધી એડવાઇઝરી મેમ્બર હતા. અને મારે ધીરુભાઈ સાથે એવા સંજોગ રહ્યા છે કે ધીરુભાઈ જ્યારે ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ બોર્ડના ચેરમેન મોસીમાં બન્યા ત્યારે હું પણ ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ બોર્ડનો મેનેજિંગ કમિટી મેમ્બર બન્યો હતો. અને ત્યાર પછી હું જ્યારે 2017માં કેરીચો ચેરમેન બન્યો ત્યારે ધીરુભાઈ ખાસ અમને સપોર્ટ કરવા અને અમને સાથ આપવા કેરીચો આવ્યા હતા. અને ધીરુભાઈ 1 વર્ષ બોર્ડના ચેરમેન અને 5 વર્ષ જ્ઞાતિના ચેરમેન રહ્યા. એ 6 વર્ષના કાર્યકાળમાં હું એમનો મેનેજિંગ કમિટી મેમ્બર હતો બંને સંસ્થાઓમાં. એટલે મેં ઘણું બધું એમની પાસેથી શીખ્યું છે. ધીરુભાઈ માટે એમ કહી શકાય કે જે સમયે એમને જે રોલ આપવામાં આવ્યો એમણે પૂરી ડેડિકેશનથી અને પ્રોપર એમણે એ રોલ અદા કર્યો છે. હી વોઝ અ ગુડ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીયાલિસ્ટ બિઝનેસમેન. He was good father, he was good husband, he was good leader, he was good mentor, you name it. એને જે સમયે જે રોલ આપવામાં આવ્યો છે ધીરુભાઈએ પ્રોપર રીતે એમણે રોલ કર્યો છે. જેમ મારી પહેલાના 2 સ્પીકરોએ કીધું કે બંને સંસ્થાઓ માટે ધીરુભાઈએ કેટલું કામ કર્યું છે. વિસા ઓસવાલ કોમ્યુનિટીની જો વાત કરીએ તો એમના હાથે એટલા મોટા કામ થયા છે. એમાં ખાલી 3 મારે નામ લેવા હોય તો જે ચેન્જ ઓફ કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન, ઘણા વર્ષની લાંબી પ્રોસેસ હતી, એ ધીરુભાઈના હાથે આપણું કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન અત્યારે જે છે ઇન ફોર્સ એ ધીરુભાઈના ટાઈમમાં થયું. આપણે ઓસવાલ એપ જે મોડર્ન જમાનામાં આપણા બધાના ફોનમાં અને આપણે બધા યુઝ કરી શકીએ એ પણ ધીરુભાઈના ટાઈમમાં લોન્ચ થઈ. અને ગ્લોરિયસ જે આપણી વિસા ઓસવાલ કોમ્યુનિટીના નાયરોબીના 75 years આપણે સેલિબ્રેટ કર્યા એ પણ ધીરુભાઈના ટાઈમમાં થયા. ધીરુભાઈ જેમ આપણે દિનેશભાઈ કીધું કે એમના હાથે 2 મર્જર થયા, બંને વીઓસી સ્કૂલના બોર્ડ સાથેના મર્જર અને ગર્લ્સ હોસ્ટેલ અને બોર્ડિંગનું મર્જર. એ પણ ખૂબ જ મોટું કામ હતું. પ્રભુએ એમને કેવી શક્તિઓ આપી હશે કે આવા ટફ અને જે કાંઈ મુશ્કેલ કામ હતા એ પણ એમણે પૂરા ડેડિકેશનથી અને ખૂબ જ સારી રીતે કર્યા. ધીરુભાઈ સૌથી વધારે મને ખાસ યાદ આવશે એમની જે ગુજરાતીમાં સ્પીચ હતી, ખાસ કરીને સિનિયર્સના ફંક્શનમાં. એ માત્ર સ્પીચ તો કંઈક આપણે એમાં જાણવા મળે જ, પણ સાથે સાથે એક એવી વાર્તામાં સંદેશ લઈને આવતા હતા કે જેનાથી આપણે કંઈક બોધ પણ મળે. એટલે ધીરુભાઈ ગમે તે કામ કરતા હતા ખૂબ જ પૂર્વ તૈયારી સાથે અને પ્રોપર હોમવર્ક કરીને કરતા હતા. અને ધીરુભાઈની કોઈ પણ એક્ટિવિટી તમે જોઈ લ્યો સામાજિક ક્ષેત્રે, હંમેશા એમણે જૈનિઝમને સાથે રાખીને કામ કર્યું છે. ધાર્મિક જે જૈન ધર્મ છે એમના હૃદયમાં હતો અને એમને હંમેશા કોઈ પણ કામ જૈન ધર્મને નજર સમક્ષ રાખીને કર્યું છે. અંતમાં ફરીથી ઓસવાળ એજ્યુકેશન એન્ડ રિલીફ બોર્ડ વતી અમારા શ્રદ્ધાંજલિ આપીએ છીએ. પ્રભુ તેમના આત્માને તેમના ચરણોમાં સ્થાન આપે અને એમના જીવને સદગતિ આપે. જય ઓસવાળ, જય બોર્ડ, ઓમ શાંતિ. થેન્ક યુ.
Thank you, Nitin Bhai, again for those very kind words, very comforting address. Thank you very much. I would like now to invite Shri Jitendra Bhai Shah, the trustee of Oswal Education Relief Board, to address the Shradhanjali. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamir Bhai. Pranam and Jai Jinendra. Chairman Visa Oswal Community, Mr. Jinit Jayantilal Shah. Chairman Oswal Education Relief Board, Mr. Nitin Praveen Chandra Malde. Trustees, office bearers, members of the Managing Committee of Visa Oswal Community and Oswal Education and Relief Board, Oswal Youth League, and chairmen and members of ORC, dignitaries of various institutions, family members of Shri Dhiraj, Devan, Dodhia, ladies, gentlemen, and dear children, all protocols observed. I wish to express my deepest sorrow at the passing on of one of the most important stalwarts of the Visarshwal community. Shri Dhiraj Devan Dodhia started his social career at a youthful age and then gradually rose to the highest ranks in the community. He was the secretary, vice chairman, and the chairman of Oswal Education and Relief Board, and also an advisory committee member, chairman Visarshwal Community, trustee of Oswal Youth League, and a founding member of ORC. I will not repeat what my colleagues have said, but please bear with me if there is a repetition. Dhirubhai was the first chairman of the Nairobi Remissions Committee. He was also instrumental in creating a centralized purchasing department at the board office for all the schools. This system was very successful and brought in a lot of savings. During his chairmanship at the board, he, together with his team, accomplished a mammoth task of merging all educational institutions under Oswal Education in Relief Board in a record time of 8 months only. At the Silver Jubilee celebrations of Virayat and Rajgir, India, Acharyaji Chandaji invited ORC to receive the Peace Award on the 5th of October, 1998. I accompanied Dhirubhai and other members of ORC. This award was given to ORC to recognize the humanitarian services provided by ORC. This was a very noble project. Dhirubhai was a great leader, forward-thinking, and above all, a great human person. Dhirubhai was very forthright and believed in calling a spade a spade. People admired him for his honesty and frankness. He gave a lot of time to his duties and was fully committed. Leaders and people such as Dhirubhai are not many. In fact, pretty rare these days. His commitment, dedication, hard work, outstanding and exemplary services rendered to the community. There are simply no words to describe Dhirubhai's contribution towards the upliftment of the Oswal community. He virtually devoted his life to this virtuous and worthy cause. He was the pillar of confidence, inspiration, and unity. His wisdom was beyond approach as he was a guiding star in all our social activities. The Oswal community has lost a star. I will cherish the warm and cordial working relationship I had with Dhirubhai over so many years. Dhirubhai is a role model for the young people in the community to emulate. My heart goes out to you in this time of loss. On behalf of Oswal Education and Relief Board, we pay tribute to Shri Dhiraj Devan Dodhia. We pray to God to give the family members courage and strength to bear the loss of Shri Dhirubhai. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Jitendra, we thank you for those very, very kind words and comforting address. Keval, you can start the next Devan, please.
कुटुंबना तारणहार एवा पूज्य पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वहान पिताजी कुटुंबना तारणहार एवा पूज्य पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वहान पिताजी चारे तीर्थ ने धाम तारा चरण पिताजी चारे तीर्थ धाम तारा चरण पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी कुटुंबना तारणहार एवा पूज्य पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी दाता दाता पालनहार पिताजी तारूर पिताजी मेरो 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 पिताजी मेरो नाम धर उजड़ू आज तारा नाम दे मेरो नाम धर उजड़ू आज तारा नाम दे वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी कुटुंबना तारणहार एवा पूज्य पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी सूरज समाजय हरता ध्वज मुखर विंद्रती सूरज समाजय हरता ध्वज मुखर विंद्रती हिम्मत मने शक्ति मणि थयुमान आपते हिम्मत मने शक्ति मणि थयुमान आपते खिली बेलकुल तुमनि तुझ छत्र छायते खिली बेलकुल तुमनि तुझ छत्र छायते वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी कुटुंबना तारणहार एवा पूज्य पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी
हमने स्क्रिप्ट था
મને રાહ બતાવ્યો છે તમે મારી આગળ જાય સુખનું ચમન દીધો મને દુઃખ દુનિયા ના સહે ચાલી ગયા છો કે મને એકલા મુકે ચાલી ગયા છો કે મને એકલા મુકે વંદન કરો हजार મારા વાહલા પિતાજી વંદન કરો हजार મારા વાહલા પિતાજી कुटुंबना तारणहार एवा पूज्य पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वाहन पिताजी चारे तीर्थ धाम तारा चरण पिताजी राम मारा चरण पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वहला पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वहला पिताजी वंदन करो हजार मारा वहला पिताजी. Thank you. Over to you, Samuel.
Thank you, Keval Bhai and Jashi Ben. I would now like to invite Neha Ben Gupta, the Vice Chairman of Ultra Youth League Nairobi, to address the Shradhanjali.
Thank you, Vikash Bhai and Sarmir Bhai. Good afternoon to everyone. Family and friends of late Mr. Dhiraj Devan Dodhia, trustees, chairman, managing committee, and office bearers of Sri Visha Oshwal Community, Oshwal Education and Relief Board, and the Oshwal Youth League, ladies, gentlemen, and dear children, Jai Jinendra to all. On behalf of the entire Oshwal Youth League fraternity, I would like to pay our heartiest condolences to family and friends of late Mr. Dhiraj Dodhia. It comes as a big shock that dear uncle is no longer just a phone call away. Despite being in whatever situation, dear uncle never failed to guide and support the Youth League members. He joined the Oshwal Youth League in 1981 and became a trustee of the Youth League in 2012. And ever since, his heart has always been with the Youth League and its members. Mr. Dodhia has been a profound pillar of the Youth League. Under his guidance and vision, the Youth League never failed to take the leap of faith. Dear uncle took great interest in ensuring that we were always following the correct path and ensured we shined in every project we executed. Dear uncle, your seat of the trustee may be filled by another member, but no one shall ever be able to fill the space you have earned in our hearts. Your ability to mingle and be one of us shall be missed dearly. Your presence in all our small and big projects and events shall be dearly missed as well. Your laughter during our karogas, your jokes during our meetings, your guidance during events, your solutions to problems shall now only echo, but we promise to continue to prosper with your foundation and make you proud as we carry the flag of the Oshwal Youth League. We have indeed lost a strong, committed, and inspirational role model. Dear uncle, your story is one of the greatest legacy that you have left behind for all of us. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and pray that the Almighty gives them the strength to bear such great loss. But be assured, you will always find a family in all of us that dear uncle has built. Dear uncle, we shall dearly miss you. May you rest in eternal peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you, Neha Ben, for those extremely kind words. Thank you very much. We now invite Shri Kiran Bhai Shah, trustee of Oshwal Youth League, to address the Shradhanjali. Thank you, Kiran Bhai.
Thank you, Vikesh. Thank you, Shamir. Jai Jinendra to all. Satguru once said, mortality is the fundamental reality of our existence. Dhirubhai is only the few people who had profound impact on our youth of our community. He strongly believed we cannot always build the future of our youth, but can build our youth for the future. Therefore, through OYL and encouragement, encouragements and empower the young generations through his values, experience, and wisdoms and thoughts. He was a house of power to OYL, as Nehaben has just said. He was a pillar, he was a powerhouse. You know, it's very difficult to describe his noble causes. I was fortunate and very fortunate in working closely with Dhirubhai, whom I would term as a no-nonsense man. No-nonsense man, I mean, when he does anything, he does it with dedication and make sure it is done throughout. We worked in many community projects in OIL, other communities, and his work was that he worked with his soul and set principles to benefit the community as a whole. Every time we did a project, be it OIL, VOC, OERB, I was mesmerized by the force of his personality and quality of his intellect. His passion shone through everything he did, but his work, family, friends, and community as a whole was his priority. His commitment, intellect, sense of humor, but above all, he won hearts of many with his modest and humility. Today, your legacy for caring for others and many of your community, of our community, you are an, in fact, Dhirubhai, we salute you for all what you have done for the community and OIL in particular. Dhirubhai, you are and have been a dear friend to me. Today, the comfort of having a friend may be taken away, but not that of having one good friend like you. Bhavani Ben, Ayush, Harsh, Mega, we join you in prayers, and we all will always cherish his memories, which will always be with us. Jai Oswal. Thank you.
Dhirubhai, we thank you for those very comforting words for your friend, and we also comfort you. Keval, you can, and Jayashri Ben, you can start the next Tavan.
मारे अर्ज हजार तो जीती गया ने मारे करने मारे हरि तो जीती गया मतना कल्याण काजे तने विधो बलो त्यागे मतना कल्याण काजे तने विधो बलो त्यागे मारो भलो को बवरे ना तो छो अजुरागी मारो भलो को बवरे ना छो अजुरागी प्रभु तमे अणगार दयाली मारे मोटा संसार प्रभु तने तो जीती गया ने प्रभु तने अरिहंत छो मारे हरीश प्रभु तने तो जीती गया ने मेरे घर में संकट ने उपसर्ग ने तमे सहता हसता हसता संकट ने उपसर्ग ने तमे सहता हसता हसता तो कायर थईने रड़ता रड़ता दुख पड़े तो कायर थईने रड़ता रड़ता प्रभु तमे केले पार गया ने हूँ तो डूब्यो मझधार प्रभु तमे तो जीती गया ने मेरे घर में हार प्रभु तमे अरिहंत छो मारे हर्ष हजार प्रभु तमे तो जीती गया ने मेरे घर में हार सिद्धि पद पामवात में साची साधन की भी सिद्धि पद पामवात में साची साधन की भी रिद्धि में रघुवा मैं तो विराधन की रिद्धि में रघुवा मैं तो विराधन की कोठा खाई रहो छो तो उतारे जो भगवान प्रभु तने तो जीती गया ने मेरे घर में हार प्रभु तमे अरिहंत छो मारे हर्ष हजार प्रभु तमे तो जीती गया ने मेरे घर में हार मारे घर में हार मारे घर में हार
Thank you, Keval Bhai and Joyshri Ben. I would now invite Shri Vimal Bhai Shah, or Chairman of ORC, to address the Shradhanjali.
Jai Jinendra. Thank you very much, Bhavni Ben, Harsh, Mega, Ayushi and Ayush, and the entire extended family and friends and colleagues of our dear colleague and selfless leader. A dear friend, a confidant, a compatriot and partner, a founder at ORC, and lately our amazing, dynamic and forthright action-oriented community chairman, Shri Devan Dodhia, our Vandan. I've known Dhirubhai since I met him in the late 70s, approximately 42 years ago, when the Oswald Youth League first held a youth festival and a celebration, an event that brought us all together as youths. And it was the first time we engaged in youth and community affairs, and also the OERB later on. Dhirubhai, in a very unique way, always had the community. And I say community, unity. So community at heart, and he would eat up into the time for family and friends and business to selflessly serve and help anyone in need. Most of all, and I would describe this as a fearless person with Jainism and its principle at his heart always. Approximately 30 years ago in 1992, when the first multi-party elections were taking place in Kenya, there was a lot of psychological warfare going on at that time. Lots of fear was abound in Kenya, and hence the formation of ORC began. And we found a great group of Kenya police reservists. And many of you may not know that Dhirubhai was one of them. He was a policeman. He also had a uniform. He immediately came on board, and since then, till last week, he was very, very instrumental in all aspects of top leadership at the ORC. Obviously, I cannot give you all the details for confidentiality purposes, but let me tell you that he displayed the true tenets of Jain values at ORC: ahimsa, aparigraha, and anikantwad. And it was not an easy journey, as at ORC, one had to deal with volunteers who get no recognition at all, and keeping them motivated and empowered with clear boundaries and safety of each and every volunteer at his heart. He did it very well without fear of failure. And this truly was compassion in action. As exemplified by Jitubai, it was recognized by Acharya Jichandaji and Sheila PG, and ORC was awarded this award, but also him being a person of who he was, an action-oriented, results-focused leader. He led the organization in a very able way. His ability to convene people and garner support from all quarters was also amazing. His intentions were always to do good for others, selflessly, without expecting anything in return. This is what community work actually does. And people don't look good. Don't look at the good, in fact, I would say. But they explode one failure and make it a big thing about it. As is usual, this sort of forthrightness attitude does not always augur well with many people who may not be straightforward. And therefore, in this era of fake news and social media, people can twist the reality to serve a point. I can say truly that Dhirubhai leaves us with this image of a person who could take a stand for the benefit of others, and when it's selfless, and his values were non-negotiable. And when you want to make a real difference, he could bring a lot of people, discipline them, streamline processes, which he's shown. He's done that at BOC, he's done that at the board, he's done that at OIL. And I think this is where the biggest thing was inspiring our youth to perform. He has actually inspired so many. So I can vouch for this without a doubt, as he would go out at any time of the day or at night. He has helped resolve plenty of cases and issues, whether it was the American Embassy bomb blast, elections every 5 years, the Westgate saga, etc., etc. And of course, many which we have handled together, including cases of arbitration and mediation. Even in social matters and marriages, family disputes, he has been instrumental in solving a lot of them selflessly. And when required, he had that charisma and art of bringing people together. I would say one thing: many people across the world today who have been through the ORC youth and leadership training and now reside in Australia or USA or Europe or wherever could vouch for what difference Dhirubhai made and through the ORC leadership. So for this, the credit goes to Dhirubhai for his leadership and compassion. We will always miss his physical presence in our midst, and this shall not be an easy task to fill for anyone. However, to the entire family and to all of us at ORC and all his friends and family, we shall cherish forever the values, the teachings, and the learnings from him. And we pray that this beautiful soul finds eternal peace in his new holy abode. We celebrate you and salute you, Dhirubhai. And for the family, all of you, and I say this openly, we will remember, and you should also remember that we are always there at any time, come what may. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimal Bhai, for your kind and comforting words. I would like to head back to Keval Bhai and Joyshri Ben.
आत्मा मारो पूछे परमात्मा जी तुमने आत्मा मारो पूछे परमात्मा जी तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने आत्मा मारो पूछे परमात्मा जी तुमने आत्मा मारो पूछे परमात्मा जी तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने भवती हूँ प्रभु भक्ति छो भूल भुलैया रजनी छो भगवती हूँ प्रभु भक्ति छो भूल भुलैया रजनी छो हरियो चितो मुझने हवे ना कोई डरे मरियो चितो मुझने हवे ना कोई डरे मोक्ष न पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने मोक्ष न पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने जिन शान पाम्यो भाग्यो दयति प्रभु भक्ति पाम्यो भाग्यो दयति जिन शासन पाम्यो भाग्यो दयति प्रभु भक्ति पाम्यो भाग्यो दयति मार्ग परिचारी जय यीशु मोक्षनि को तुझ मार्ग परिचारी जय यीशु मोक्षनि को मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने आत्मा मारो पूछे परमात्मा जी तुमने आत्मा मारो पूछे परमात्मा जी तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने मोक्ष में पहुँचिश प्यारे बस कह जो तुमने तुम्हारी वाणी मधुरी केवल विसराय तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। दिवसों जाए वर्षों जाए जीवन पूरो थाय, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। दिवसों जाए वर्षों जाए जीवन पूरो थाय, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। तुम्हारी तमने लगशे, तुम्हारा नाम गणकार मगशे, तुम्हारा नाम गणकार मगशे। पेट कहिने कौन बोलाशे, स्नेह नजरती कौन निरखशे, स्नेह नजरती कौन निरखशे। आधार स्तंभ करतो तुम्हारो, आज विसराई जाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। वाहला तुम्हारी वाणी मधुरी, हेम करी बिसराई, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। लोकार मंथनो धनज धरता, शंकेश्वरनु नाम जरकता, शंकेश्वरनु नाम जरकता। आयुष्य दोरी टूटे जाता, जीवन यात्रा पूर्ण थाता, जीवन यात्रा पूर्ण थाता। परलोक पंथे विदाय लीधी, रही गई छे याद, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। वाहला तुम्हारी वाणी मधुरी, हेम करी बिसराई, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए, तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूलाए। आत्मा ने शांति हो जो, हमने प्रेम नजर निहारो, हमने प्रेम नजर निहारो। भव भव खिन शासन ने पर जो, शरणों पामी मुक्ति भर जो शरणों पामी मुक्ति भर जो पामसहु बाणी निकज अर्जी पान शांति सदा तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला कामना तुम्हारी वाणी मधुरी हिमतरी विसराय तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला दिवसों जाए वर्षों जाए जीवन पूरो धार तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला तुम्हारी याद नहीं भूला. Thank you. Over to you, Sami.
Thank you, Keval Bhai, Jai Shri Ben. I now would like to invite Ayushi, daughter of Dhirubhai, to address the Shradhanjali on behalf of the Dhiraj Devan family. Thank you, Ayushi.
All protocols observed. Jai Janendra and Pranam. Thank you all for attending today's Shradhanjali. We felt a lot of love and support over the last few days and over the years, and our family deeply appreciates it. You've heard about all the incredible accomplishments that my dad was an integral part of, and how many lives he touched. It is difficult to even understand how we will pass through this ocean of grief, but we take comfort in knowing that his entire life was spent doing things he loved, doing seva, helping the community at large, enhancing his business, protecting the environment, and spending time with his family and friends. He was always ready with a joke or pieces of wisdom. He was witty and generous with a no-nonsense attitude. We were always chief guest, guest of honor, or as chairman of the various committees that he was a part of. And we would always listen with rapt attention whenever he spoke about all his various adventures, no matter where we were. Although he may have faced a multitude of dangers while he was in the police and in ORC, he would often recount these adventures with an air of humor, as though each action wasn't as magnificent as it genuinely was. He always had the time to listen to us, no matter how unimportant our stories were. My dad was the person who everybody looked up to, followed and admired. We are incredibly proud of him, and we've learned so much from him. To say I love my dad would be an understatement. And to say that I'm going to miss him would be an even greater understatement. I hope that we can continue his legacy with the same level of dedication and fortitude that he showed. We all got so lucky as a family to spend an incredible amount of time with him. COVID truly was a blessing and a curse. Time is a gift, and we all didn't realize how much of a gift it truly is. I wrote this poem for an anthology, and I didn't read it out loud to him. I thought I'll get a chance to read it out to him once it was published in its final form. But even though it hasn't been published, here it is, Daddy. I know that you'll love it. Galaxies of Stars by Ayushi Dhiraj Dodhia. Some of us are like shooting stars, burning brightly, only seen by a few. Some of us shine with comfort, bringing in sunshine and warmth, reveling in the growth they inspire. Some of us twinkle strongly solo, others glow iridescently within constellations or galaxies even. So we gleam gently with dreams amongst the galaxy, some burning with brilliant light, if only for a moment, some inspiring warmth and growth, leaving legacies. Each of us existing in time as specks of cosmic dust with divergent destinies. I thank the Visashal community and the office bearers for organizing the Shradhanjali and paying tribute to my father, and to all his friends who always wished him well, especially Kiranka. You are truly the definition of friends like family. Your unconditional support over the years has meant so much to Dad and to us. You all gave us so much support over the years, and I know you will miss him almost as much as we will. Lastly, a polite request from us as a family. Since COVID cases are on the rise, we would like everyone to remain safe. Please send us your prayers via WhatsApp or give us a phone call instead of visiting us. Thank you. Ek namra vinanti chhe, Dodhia પરિવાર તરફથી નાઇરોબીમાં કોવિડ કેસીસ નો ફેલાવો ખૂબ વધી ગયો હોવાથી આપ સૌ સલામત રહો એવી પ્રાર્થના છે અને આ સૌ આપનો દિલાસો ફોન અથવા WhatsApp દ્વારા પાઠવશો. આભાર. Thank you. I pass it on to Samir, Uncle, and Vikash.
Thank you, Ayushi. I would like to invite now Ketuben, the niece of Dhiraj Devan Dodhia, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. On 1st August 2021, God saw Dhiru Mama getting tired. The roads were getting rougher and the hills were getting harder to climb. So he put his arms around him, closed his weary eyelids and whispered, "Come to me." With heavy hearts and tearful eyes, we had watched him suffer, and although we loved him dearly, we just couldn't make him stay. A golden heart stopped beating, hard-working hands put to rest, and God broke our hearts to prove that he only takes the best. A light went out of the Dodhia Parivar's lives. Shadows were everywhere. Daylight eventually came, but the brightness just wasn't the same. How does a family go on after the unthinkable happens? How do we carry on as we grieve our empty lives and heads filled with echoes memories of him? But then we think of his strength and his unwavering courage. We hold and comfort each other through this mist of unbearable pain. The darkness we are experiencing is slowly turning brighter as each one of us shares our fondest memories of him and we celebrate him. Dhiru Mama was such an essential part of our lives, taking the time to show us the way, help us grow and support all the fledglings of the family to become the best versions of themselves possible. All we can hope for is that we have inherited just even a drop of his unfaltering courage, strength, his inherent wisdom, and the drive to make the world a better place, not just for the family, but for all living beings. I remember an excerpt from one of his speeches when he was introduced as a chief guest. He told the person who introduced him that he would have to do prayashchit, penance, twice that evening. One for the person who introduced him with such wonderful lies for his achievements, and one for himself for having enjoyed it so much. However, today, everything that is being said about this extraordinary man is just the tip of the iceberg. And in all honesty, a few minutes is not enough to describe a legend like Dhiru Mama. When I asked the family to send me their fondest memories of him, the one that resonated through each and every one of us was his ready wit. His ability to turn all our gatherings into one big comedy fest that ended up with uncontrollably infectious laughter was unanimous. The Dodhia Parivar claims patent on the Pankaj Udas ghazal that was Kenyanized to Mary Jaisa Rang Hai Tera, Jerry Jaise Baal, on behalf of the Rumama. Of course, all the unruly youngsters, especially the young men of the family, remember him for his strict disciplinary demeanor, until Nanima would sell him out for his shenanigans as a young boy himself. But despite hearing about stories of his acts from disappearing from nursery school through windows as a child, we would all quake in our boots the minute he was called about any of us doing something wrong. All it took was a long, hard look from him, and all the confessions just came pouring out. He never shouted at us, but needless to say, that deadly silence was enough to ensure most shenanigans were never repeated again. For us cousins, he was the go-to member. He was the friend that always had a solution. Strong people aren't just born, they are made strong by the storms they walk through. Tirumama lost his dad at the tender age of 13 and his older brother when he was only 31. He may have been the youngest sibling of the family, but the elders also valued his observations and guidance. Tirumama was the glue that held our Dodhia Parivar together. He picked up the shattered pieces of a family member and helped them grow and move on. We shed tears because he's gone, but we will also smile because he lived. We will close our eyes and pray he will come back, but we will also open our eyes and see all the good that he has done. Our hearts are empty because we can't see him, but they're also full of the bond and the love we shared. We can cry, close our minds, and turn our backs. But instead, we are going to do what he would want us to do: smile, open our eyes, and go on. We will set his soul free and carry on with his legacy. This is not goodbye, this is thank you. Thank you for coming into our lives, giving us joy, laughter, and memories that we will cherish always and forever. Some stars shine so bright that their light shines on all lives, just as yours will always on the Dodhia Parivar. May your larger than life soul continue to brighten lives wherever you are, dear Mama. Thank you.
Thank you, Katu. We will now like to invite Bhavisha to address the Shradhanjali on behalf of the Dhiraj Devan family. Bhavisha, thank you. Maybe Drupti, are you there? You can address the Shradhanjali on behalf of the family. Ayushi?
Sorry, she's available, but they can't hear you, I think. I don't know if you can unmute Drupti. She may be able to.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Dhiramasa is someone we looked up to, someone to follow, someone to admire, someone to be proud of, someone to learn from and respect, someone to try and impress, and sometimes rebel against, someone who gave a special safety blanket hug, and someone to cry with. I'm incredibly grateful and blessed that I've had all this and much more with Dhirumasa. Weekend evenings were carved out for family, and there was always time for a weekly visit to Bapuji for Masti, Maja, and Matakut. During some of these visits, Rohit Mama recalls Dhirumasa getting a call out from ORC. He would immediately respond, and no matter what the time. The adults in our family remember his contributions during the American embassy bombing in 1998, when he didn't come home for 3 days. More recently, he played a central role in coordinating rescue efforts during the September 2013 Westgate attacks, where Oshawa Center was made accessible to Red Cross and the victims. Dhirumasa stayed there for the entire 4 days. We remember seeing him on TV and felt a sense of pride. Dhirumasa was a very selfless person, and our family was blessed to have such an individual as part of our family. He was the one that we'd go to for guidance and counsel. He was not one to mince his words and would lay out the facts, good and bad. But he had a knack of communicating with you in a way everyone could relate to, young or old. He's been described as fearless and having the spirit of a warrior. Dhirumasa was dedicated, diligent, energetic, and efficient. He was a huge inspiration in all aspects of his life, from family, his business empire, his social and charitable work, and his guidance as a father figure to all of us. This had a clear impression on Vishal during a factory tour led by Dhirumasa, which piqued his interest in engineering. He was amazed at what Dhirumasa had built and achieved. We've been lucky enough to have spent quality time with Dhirumasa on a few family holidays. A memorable trip was one to Mombasa. It was Sagar's birthday and we'd ordered a cake to celebrate. The cake that came was pink and rock solid. In true Kenyan style, the enthusiastic hotel staff came out singing Kata Kata. Once the singing was over, Lucy, one of the hotel staff, insisted on helping Sagar cut the cake whilst holding his hand and the knife. Maybe she'd taken a liking to Sagar. Sagar, unfortunately, has never been able to live this down and has always been greeted with Kata Kata by Dhirumasa since that day. When he visited the UK, we would try and plan staycations. Dhirumasa would happily get involved in playing Antakshari, cards, board games, and even pool volleyball. We all know Dhirumasa hated any form of physical activity with a passion. Despite this, he'd be a sport and join us for our walks. We got caught in a downpour on one of these walks. By the time we reached the cottage, Dhirumasa was soaking wet and fuming. It was a conflicting time for us all. We were all scared, but at the same time found the situation really funny. Despite struggling with his breathing, Dhirumasa completed a walk around a lake near Mount Snowdon. This involved climbing up some steep and irregular terrain, and this example just showed us how Dhirumasa was always ready to face and overcome any challenges. Dhirumasa never showed or let anyone know how much he was suffering. He always had a smile on his face and retained his wit and humor. Jigna described how he would always make every stressful moment lighter with his jokes. My mom used to try auricular reflexology for Dhirumasa to help him find some relief, and he would say to her, "Koi ni himmat nathi thati mara kan pakarwani, પણ તમે તો પાતલા ઠોકસાસુ થાઓ, એટલે તમને allowed છે." Dhirumasa has fought continually and shown his resilience. That same resilience runs through Pau, Harsh, and Ayushi, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Bao's unconditional support, not just in the last few years, but throughout their marriage. She has stood beside Tirumasa in every endeavor he wished to pursue. She's dedicated her life to him, and she's carried on with a smile throughout the difficult times and never left his side. He was her life partner, and I hope she can find the strength and courage to continue smiling, laughing, and living as I'm sure Tirumasa would have wanted. Bao's dedication is an example that we could all strive to follow. Bao, Harsh, Mega, Ayushi, and Ayush. No words will ever be enough to express our love for Tirumasa or fill the void we feel. We will all aspire to continue his legacy and celebrate his life through our actions. I'd like to end this with a short poem by Ellen Brenneman titled, "His Journey's Just Begun." Don't think of him as gone away. His journey's just begun. Life holds many facets. This earth is only one. Just think of him as resting from the sorrows and the tears in a place of warmth and comfort where there are no days and years. Think how he must be wishing that we could know today how nothing but our sadness can really puff away. And think of him as living in the hearts of those he touched. For nothing loved is ever lost, and he was loved so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dupti Ben. I would now like to invite Binti Ben, our past vice chairperson of BOC Nairobi, to address the Shradhanjali.
Thank you, Vikash and Samir Bhai. Bhavni Ben and family of late Dhiraj Devan Dodhia, the trustees and chairman of Visa Ashul Community Nairobi, members of all sister institutions, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Pranam and Jai Jinendra. At the request of the family, I am honored and privileged to pay tribute to an outstanding community leader, Dhirubhai Devan Dodhia. I met Dhirubhai for the first time during my term at ORC sometime in 2007-2008, and that too very briefly at one of the ORC get-togethers. Thereafter, out of the blue, one fine day in 2016, I got a call from Dhirubhai asking whether I would be interested in taking up the position of the Honorary Secretary for Shri Visa Ashul Community Nairobi. I was completely taken by surprise and asked him to give me a day to think over. The next day, he called and said I had asked for a day and asked me to check the time and reminded me it was exactly 24 hours. I made a mental note that here was a relentless man and that I should be ready to be on my toes. I was skeptical at first about the position, but Dhirubhai guided and enabled us to carry out our roles seamlessly, and thus began a new friendship. Needless to say, I do not regret even one moment of it. I met the other members of the team on the election day, but we all took to one another like ducks to water. We had a great team, and on behalf of Ayush, Hetal, Bindi, and myself, we say a big thank you, Dhirubhai. A very important factor of gender equality came into play, and for the very first time in the history of Visa Ashul Community Nairobi, there were women at the office bearer levels. For the last 5 years, working closely with Dhirubhai, I learned of a rare personality that you get to meet only once in your lifetime. A contemplative man by nature, he took family, business, and community to the heart of his existence. He was a man of many facets, a leader, philanthropist, and an acute businessman. He became the mentor, motivator, advisor, and a friend, and was a great visionary for the community. He absolutely excelled at everything he put his attention to. His personal mantra was do the right thing the right way and right now. And we can see that he lived by his word. His love for the community was immense, and even lately, whilst in India, and though not well, he always insisted on keeping abreast of community affairs and also offered his advice and opinion where needed. Under his leadership, we as a team achieved and accomplished a lot. His legacy lives on. I remember that though unwell, he made it a point to attend the managing committee meetings and in fact stayed right through the end until our silent and observant member, Kirubai, would get up and bring the oxygen tank to boost his oxygen. We almost always had 100% attendance by the managing committee members, and such was the leadership of Dhiraj. Dhiraj was a great visionary not only for his business, but also for the community. One of his visions was always to create a Jain spiritual center that encompassed a Jain museum at the Marjanwadi. This project was always at the back of his and our minds. However, due to the challenges we faced in 2018 for the Oswald Center, the idea was kept on hold. Dhiraj was a leader who always worked silently. His actions always spoke for themselves. He would call people and get things done from wherever he was without making a big scene. I remember in 2018, he was in India and I was in London when the unfortunate event of Oswald Center took place. Yet, whilst in India, he was calling members of the community in Nairobi and finding ways and means of saving our Oswald Center. He was linking people together to get the best result at the time. He was a fantastic communicator, and as always, he was on the ball. It has been said that life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. That exactly sums up my position as BOC Secretary from 2016 to 2021. There was never a dull moment for me. In sanctifying his memory, we will always value his friendship, his guidance, his frankness, and his infectious sense of humor. Even under very trying circumstances, Dhiraj never failed to make us see the light at the end of the tunnel with his jovial nature and positivity. Dhiraj, we shall miss you immensely. To Bhavniben, Harsh, Megha, Ayush, and the family members, I would like to say, there is a saying that those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day, unseen, unheard, but always near, still loved, still missed. And we are wishing you hope in the midst of sorrow, comfort in the midst of pain. It is said that behind every successful man, there is a woman, and this cannot be truer in the case of Dhiraj. Bhavniben, Harsh, and Ayushi have been a pillar of strength for him through the difficult times, and we pray to God to give you all the strength now to bear this tremendous loss, and we are with you always. We honor and cherish what you have done for the community Dhirubhai and pray that you attain moksha in your onward journey. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindiben, for your kind words. I will give back to Keval Bhai and Jayshree Ben.
हे नाथ जोड़ी हाथ पाए विनती सौलागिए शरणों मरे साचो तमारो हे हृदय थी मागिए जे जीव लाग्यो चरणमा अपनारजो परमात्मा ये आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परमात्मा ये आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परिकर्म योगी करीने पूर्णमाजे अवतरे क्या चौरासी बंधनों लक्षाई परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो वितराग प्रभु जी विश्वनाथ सतन कर्मनो दैवार सो नव जन्म दै सतन संगति कीर्तार पार उतार जो आलोक ने परलोक तब प्रेम रग रग जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो मुक्ति मरे की स्वर्ग ना सुख आश भगवीर के भजन भावती वीर रूप जन्म वीर रूप जय आप जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो मानव पनो आ छोड़िए ते आप द्वारे आदियो कर्मान भले प्रभु जी पुण्य को गार जो अपराध माफ करी सहो तब विनती स्वीकार जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो परमात्मा आत्मा ने चीर शांति आप जो. Thank you. Over to you, Shradhanjali.
Thank you, Keval Bhai and Jayshree Ben. I would now invite Shri Vinubai Jakaria to say the Shanti.
હલો, સંભળાય છે? હલો, સંભળાય છે બધાને?
હા, સંભળાય છે.
પ્રણામ, જય જીનેન્દ્ર. આ દરેક મહાનુભાવોને સાંભળ્યા પછી એક વસ્તુ જરૂર માનવા જેવી છે. ધીરજભાઈનું નામ ભલે ધીરજ હતી, પરંતુ એમને સોંપવામાં આવેલું કોઈ પણ કામ એટલી સ્પીડથી કરતા કે જેની કલ્પના પણ આપણે ના કરી શકીએ. અને દુઃખ સાથે કહેવું પડે, નામ ધીરજ હતું, પરંતુ આ જીવનની સફર કરવામાં એમણે ધીરજ કરતા ડબલ સ્પીડ પકડી પ્રભુના ચરણોમાં પહોંચી ગયા. આપણે પ્રાર્થના કરીએ કે એ આત્માને ચીર શાંતિ મળે. પરંતુ એના પહેલા એક હું વિચાર રજૂ કરું છું. નાઇરોબી સમાજના અત્યાર સુધીના ઇતિહાસમાં એક જોડી એવી થઈ ગઈ જેણે ધર્મના ક્ષેત્રમાં કમાલ કમાલ અને કમાલ કરી. વાત કરું છું 3D plus 3J is equal to 6DJ. 6 development of Jainism. 3D એટલે ધીરજ, દેવન, દોઢિયા, અને 3J એટલે જીનિત, જયંતિલાલ, જીવરાજ. ક્રિકેટના ગ્રાઉન્ડમાં જેમ કોઈ ક્રિકેટર સિક્સર મારે તેમ આ જોડીએ જૈન ધર્મના ક્ષેત્રમાં સિક્સર મારી છે. એક પછી એક ગણાવું. પહેલું કામ દેવ દ્રવ્યનું કર્યું, જે ઘણા વર્ષ થયા આ નાઇરોબી સમાજને જરૂર હતી. સંજોગો વસાત કોઈ પણ કરી ન શક્યા. એ આ કામ ધીરુભાઈએ ઉપાડ્યું અને બહુ સરસ રીતે અને સારી રીતે પરિપૂર્ણ કર્યું. બીજું કામ મુનિ સુરત સ્વામી જિનાલયની અંદરનું જે ફિનિશિંગ છે એ 38 વર્ષ થયા મુનિ સુરત સ્વામી જિનાલય બનેલું છે, પણ કોઈએ ફિનિશિંગનું કામ કરેલું નહીં. અત્યારે તારલાની જેમ ટમકે છે. એનો ખરેખર મુખ્ય ફાળો ધીરુભાઈ અને જીનિતભાઈને જાય છે. બહેનો માટે ઔષધ કરવાનું હોય ત્યારે જોઈતી વ્યવસ્થા આ જોડીએ પૂરી પાડી. ચોથું કામ આંબિલ ખાતું. ઘણા વર્ષોથી ભાવિકોને આંબિલ ખાતું જોઈતું હતું, પરંતુ આ લોકોના નેજા હેઠળ તારીખ 8/2/2020 રોજથી આંબેલ ખાતું શરૂ થયેલું છે, જે અવિરતપણે અત્યારે ચાલી રહ્યું છે. આ કોરોનાના ટાઈમમાં જ્યાં સાધુ ભગવંતો છે એ હિન્દુસ્તાનની અંદર ઘણા આંબેલ ખાતા 1 દિવસ, 2 દિવસ અને અઠવાડિયા માટે બંધ રહેલા, પરંતુ અહીંયા એક પણ દિવસ આંબેલ ખાતું બંધ રહેલું નથી. પાંચમું કામ મહાવીર સ્વામી ભગવાનને ઘર દેરાસરથી શિખરબંધી જિનાલયમાં બિરાજમાન કરવાનું કામ આ જોડીએ ભવ્ય રીતે કરેલું. ઘણી વખત એમ કહેવાનું મન થાય, આ બધી વાતો જે જૈન ધર્મ જાણતા હોય એની પાસે કરવી જોઈએ, નહીતર તો ભેંસ પાસે ભાગવત વાંચવા જેવું થાય. અને છઠ્ઠું, જીવદયા માટે આ વર્ષે આપણે એટલા ભાગ્યશાળી થયા છીએ, 580 ગાયોને કતલખાને જતા છોડાવવામાં નિમિત્ત બન્યા છીએ. એનું પણ ખરેખર ફાળો કે ક્રેડિટ જતી હોય તો આ જોડીને નામે જાય છે. એમાં બિંદીબેન એ વખતના સેક્રેટરીએ પણ ઘણો ફાળો આપેલો છે. પરંતુ હું એક દ્રષ્ટાંત આપવા માંગુ છું, તમને સમજાવવા માટે કહું છું. સતયુગમાં પણ મંથરાએ અને કૈકેયીએ મળીને રામને વનવાસ અપાવ્યો. મંથરા અને કૈકેયીએ મળીને રામને વનવાસ અપાવ્યો. આ ઉતરતા કાળમાં, આ પંચમ કાળમાં સંઘ એ 25મો તીર્થંકર કહેવાય. એ જ રીતે અહીંના કૈકેયી અને મંથરાએ એ મહાવીર સ્વામી ભગવાનને જ્યારે લઈ આવવાની વાત હતી ત્યારે એ સંઘે 25મા તીર્થંકરને કોર્ટમાં લઈ ગયા. ખરેખર એમની સમજણ શક્તિની દાદ માગે છે. ધર્મની વાતો કરવી છે. મહાવીર સ્વામી સપનામાં આવે છે, પરંતુ યાદ રાખજો કે મહાવીર સ્વામી જ્યારે હયાત હતા ત્યારે પણ એમને એમના દીકરી અને જમાઈને પણ ક્યારે રોકેલા કે ટોકેલા નહીં. તો આ બધી ચીકની ચૂકની વાતો કરી માણસોને ભોળવવાનું કામ ન કરવું જોઈએ. એક કહેવત છે કે ભણેલા ભૂલે અને અભણ ગણિતમાં આગળ નીકળે. એ જ પ્રથાએ અહીં જે લોકો જૈન ધર્મ ભણાવે છે એ જ લોકો ભૂલા પડેલા છે. સત્તા માટે આંધળા થઈ અને ભગવાનને પણ ભૂલી જાય છે. આપણે ભગવાન પાસે પ્રાર્થના કરીએ કે આ દરેકને સદબુદ્ધિ મળે. આજનો એક દાખલો આપું. હેમપ્રભ સુરીશ્વરજી મહારાજાએ દિલસોજી માટે ભાવનીબેન તથા સરોજબેન પંકજ સાથે વાત કરેલી. ત્યારે પણ એમણે એ જ કહેલું કે તમે કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ મનમાં નહીં રાખતા, હર સમય એનું કામ કરે છે. ધીરુભાઈએ જે કામ કરેલી એની પ્રશંસા કરી અને એ પણ સાત્વના આપી કે આયુષ્ય કર્મ પૂરું થાય એટલે માણસે આ દુનિયા છોડી અને ઉપરવાસ જવાનું જ હોય છે. આપણે 3D અને 3J ને દોષિત ન ગણી શકીએ. માટે આપણે બધા સાથે મળી પરમ કૃપાળુ પરમાત્માને એવી જોરદાર પ્રાર્થના કરીએ કે ધીરજભાઈનો આત્મા જ્યાં હોય ત્યાં સદગતિને પામે અને એમના કુટુંબ ઉપર આવેલી આ દુઃખ આવેલાનું સહન કરવાની શક્તિ આપે. એ જ પ્રાર્થના, એ જ અભ્યર્થના. અને હવે હું શાંતિની શરૂઆત કરું છું. દરેકને હાથ જોડી બેસવા નમ્ર વિનંતી. નમો અરિયંતાણમ, નમો સિદ્ધાણમ, નમો આયર્યાણમ, નમો વૈજ્ઞાયાણમ, નમો લોયે સવ્વ સાહુણમ, એસો પંચન મુકારો સવ્વ પાવપણાસણો, મંગલાણમ ચ સર્વેશિમ પદ્મમ હવૈ મંગલમ. વત્સગહરમ પાસમ પાસમ વંદામી કમ્મ ઘણ મુકમ વિસર્વેશ નિનાસમ મંગલ કલાણ આવાસમ વિશ્વર ફુલિંગમંતમ કંઠે ધારે ઈજો સયામણુ તસ્સ ગહરોગ મારી દુઠ્ઠ જરા જંતી ઉસામમ ચિઠ્ઠુ દુરે મંતો તુજ પણામો વી બહુ ફલો હોય નરત્રિયે સુવી જીવા પાવંતી ન દુઃખ દો ગચમ તું સમતે લદ્ધે ચિંતામણી કપ્પ પાયો ભીએ પાવંતી અવિઘેણમ જીવાય રામણમ ઠાણમ યસંતો માયસ બતિભર નિભ્રેણ યયન તાદેવ દિજ બોઈમ ભવે ભવે પાસ જીણ ચંદ. નમોર્હત સિદ્ધાચાર્યોપાધ્યાય સર્વ સાધુભ્ય શાંતિમ શાંતિની શાંતમ શાંતમ શાંતા શિવમ નમસ્કૃત્ય સ્તોતુ શાંતિ નિમિત્તમ મંત્ર પદે શાંતયે સ્તોમી ઓમિતિ નિશ્ચિત વચસે નમો નમો ભગવતે રતે પૂજામ શાંતિજીના જયવતે યશસ્વીને સ્વામીને દમિનામ સકલાતિશેક મા સંપત્તિ સમન્વિતાય સસ્યાય તૈલોક્ય પૂજિતાય ચ નમો નમઃ શાંતિ દેવાય સર્વામર સુસ્મુહ સ્વામિક સંપૂજિતાય નજિતાય ભુવન જનપાલનો દ્યત તમય સતતમ નમસ્તસ્મૈ સર્વ દુરિતો ઘનાસન કરાય સર્વાશિવ પ્રસન્નાય દુષ્ટ ગ્રહ ભૂત પિશાચ શાકિની નામ પ્રમથનાય યસ્યેતિ નામ મંત્ર પ્રધાન વાક્યો પ્રયોગ કૃતો સા વિજય કુરુતે જનહિત મિતિ ચનુતા નમત તમ શાંતિમ ભવતુ નમસ્તે ભગવતી વિજય સુજય પરાપરૈ રજિતે अपराजिते जगत्यां जयति जयावहे भवति सर्वस्यापि च संघस्य भद्र कल्याण मंगल प्रददे साधूनां च सदा शिव सुतुष्टि पुष्टि प्रदे जिया भव्यानां कृत सिद्धे निवृत्ति निर्वाण जननी सत्वानां अभय प्रदान निर्ते नमस्तु स्वस्ति पदे तुभ्यं भक्तानां जंतूनां शुभावहे नित्यमुद्यते देवी सम्यक दृष्टि न धृति रति मति बुद्धि प्रदानाय जिन शासन निरता नाम शांति नता नाम च जगति जनता नाम श्री संपत कीर्ति यशो वर्धनी जय देवी विजयस्व शलिला नल विष विषधर दुष्ट ग्रह राज रोग रण भयत राक्षस रिपु गण मारी चौरेति स्वापदा दिव्य अर्थ रक्ष रक्षु शिवम कुरु कुरु शांतिं च कुरु कुरु सदेति तुष्टिं कुरु कुरु पुष्टिं कुरु कुरु स्वस्तिं च कुरु कुरु त्वम् भगवती गुणवती शिव शांति तुष्टि पुष्टि स्वस्ति कुरु कुरु जनानां Om iti namo namo Ram Rim Rum Ra Ya Cha Rim Phat Phat Swaha. Evam yanamaksara purusaram sansuta jaya devi kurute santim navatam namo namah santaye tasmai. इति पूर्व सूरि दर्शित मंत्र पद विदर्भित स्तव शांते शलिलादि भय विनाशी शांत्यादि करश्च भक्ति मताम यश्चैनं पठति सदा सुनोति भावयति वा यथा योगम सही शांति पदम यायात सूरि श्रीमान देवश्च उपसर्गा क्षयं यान्ति छिद्यन्ते विघ्नवलय मनः प्रसन्नता में ती पूज्यमाने जिनेश्वरे सर्वमंगल मांगल्यम सर्व कल्याण कारणम प्रधानम सर्वधर्माणां जैनं जयति शासनम जैनं जयति शासनम चत्तारि मंगलम अरिहंता मंगलम सिद्धा मंगलम शाहु मंगलम केवली पन्नतो धम्मो मंगलम चत्तारि लोग उत्तमा अरिहंता लोग उत्तमा सिद्धा लोग उत्तमा शाहु लोग उत्तमा केवली पन्नतो धम्मो लोग उत्तमो चत्तारि शरणं पौजामि अरिहन्ते शरणं पौजामि सिद्धे शरणं पौजामि शाहु शरणं पौजामि केवली पन्नतं धमं शरणं पौजामि शिवमस्तु सर्व जगत परहित निरता भवन्तु भूतगणा दोषा प्रयन्तु नाशं सर्वत्र सुखी भवतु लोकः खामेमि सहु जीवे सवे जीवा खमन्तु मे मिट्टी में सव भुवेशु वेरम मजम नाकेणी ત્રણેય લોક સુખી થાવ ત્રણેય લોક સુખી થાવ ત્રણેય લોકોના તમામ જીવોને શાંતિ મળે સકળ વિશ્વમાં શાંતિ ફેલાય તેમજ ધીરુભાઈના આત્માને ધીરજભાઈના આત્માને શાંતિ મળે એવી ભાવનાથી દરેકને 12 નવકાર ગણવા નમ્ર વિનંતી. And who doesn't know નવકાર મંત્ર are requested to chant the name of their god or goddesses for 2 minutes, please. ओम शांति शांति शांति. बोलो बोलो शांतिनाथ भगवान की जय. आदेश्वर भगवान की जय. पार्श्वनाथ भगवान की जय. नेमिनाथ भगवान की जय. मुनीश्वर स्वामी भगवान की जय. 24 जिनराज की जय. जिन शासन देव की जय. सकल संघ की जय.
Thank you, Vinubhai. Now we will have I would like to invite Vipul Bhai from Perth, Australia, a dear friend of Dhirubhai, to address the Shradhanjali. Vipul Bhai, thank you.
Sorry, Bhai, I don't think Vipul Bhai is there. Or is he? Are you able to hear him?
We'll come back to him.
I think his audio is off. We'll come back to him then.
I would like to just read out a message from Team Oswal Care to the family of Dhiraj, Devan, Dodhia. A great soul serves everyone all the time. A great soul never dies. It brings us together again and again. To the entire family of Dhiraj, Devan, Dodhia, condolences messages from Team Oswal Care. Thank you, Team Oswal Care. We would also like to thank Visawashore Community Meru Chairman Rosikbhai Chandaria for sending condolences messages to the Dhiraj Devan Parivar. Thank you. Thank you, Rosikbhai. Not on. Okay. We are unable to get Vipul Bhai to connect to audio. I can just read out a message which he has sent to Dhirubhai's Parivar. Dhirubhai was an extraordinary man, full of humor, and always had answer on his lips, and he never hesitated to give one. He shall not be missed, but always be remembered by all who knew him. God rest his noble soul in eternal peace. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. This message is from Vipul, Chandrika, Raki, and Punam from Perth, Western Australia. Thank you. I request now, if any attendees to today's Shradhanjali
Samir, I've got Vipul online.
say something, they can do so. Sorry, was that Vipul Bhai?
No, that's Vimal. I can get Vipul online on the phone and he can speak. His audio is on, but there's something wrong with the connection.
Okay.
He's online also.
Sure. Go ahead, Vimal Bhai.
1 second. Yeah, Vipul, you can speak now. You're online.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Samir, for giving me the opportunity. All trustees. Yep.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Vimal. Thank you. All and trustees and hello.
Go ahead.
All trustees. Yes. All trustees and chairmen of various social institutions, the family of Dhiraj Shah, Pauni, Harsh, Mega, Ayushi, and Ayush. The message was read to you by Samir. Just to add a few things on it. What Shradhanjali we were given to a best fitting friend who left us on a friendship day. Unfortunately, a friendship day. He left us all behind. He shall not be missed by us. He shall be remembered by us, all of us. And Ayushi, the poem you sang is the best ever I have heard. And all the best to you. Your family members are all with us and we are all with you. And rest assured from our end and everyone in the Oswal communities worldwide, the family is still with us and we are with them. I'd like to thank once again for giving us the opportunity from Australia to talk on behalf of my family. Thank you, and Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Samir, over to you.
Thank you, Vimal Bhai and Vipul Bhai. If any other attendees would like to say a few words, they are welcome to do so now. Thank you. Kiran Bhai, please unmute if you want to say something. Unmute. Your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
No, as has already been said, Dhiraj was a man of principle, He was really, for many years, we are trying to get our community constitution done. We were for many years, and he was the person who made it through. And he was never afraid to say the truth. Whatever is the truth, he will just say it straight away. The greatest achievement for our community was the constitution he was able to pass. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Kiran Bhai. Thank you very much for those kind words. Can we go back? Okay. With all and appreciation, we thank the following for today's memorable Shradhanjali in honor of late Dhiraj Devan Dodhia. Firstly, the family of Dhiraj Devan Dodhia, Bhavni Ben, Harsh and Mega, Ayushi and Ayush. We also thank Ketu, Drupti and Bindi Ben for speaking on behalf of the family. Our chairman of Shri Visashwa Community Nairobi, Jinit Bhai Shah, for giving all the support to the Dhiraj Devan Dodhia family and contributing greatly to this Shradhanjali today. All the trustees, office bearers and managing committee of the various organizations of Visashwa Community Nairobi, Oshwal Education Relief Board, Oshwal Youth League. We thank you all for all the kind words and appreciation at the Shradhanjali said today. Chairman and committee members of Oshwal of ORC, we thank Vimal Bhai and the entire team of ORC for all your kind support and very kind gratitude today. Also, I would like to thank Keval Bhai, Jayashri Ben, Vinu Bhai for all their contribution to the Shradhanjali today. Rishabh, Jinal, and the entire VOC staff, we thank you. Vikas, thank you very much for the co-hosting today. All the participants in today's Shradhanjali, amongst family and friends and members of the Visashwa community Nairobi, Dhirubhai was a mentor to many. To our very own Dhirubhai, till we meet again, it is our sincere request to Prabhu, may his soul rest in peace. Michami Dukram, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Thank you very much.
Before we end, I would like to say just a big thank you to our secretary, Samir Bhai, for co-hosting with me.